Team dynamics are comprised of a lot of different things, but one of the characteristics we often don't spend enough time considering is motivation. Why a partner climbs. Hello, I'm Jason. We are continuing our month of May videos on some of the mental aspects of outdoor adventure in celebration of Mental Health Awareness Month. And today we want to go a little deeper into one particular aspect of finding climbing partners, and that is what motivates you and a potential partner to climb. Team dynamics, particularly in the alpine, is pretty well discussed. At least my mentors used to talk about it a lot. Maybe some of you are familiar with these conversations. They often start with more objective stuff, like fitness and pace, competence with necessary systems. Then they get into slightly more subjective attributes. How do they communicate? What types of objectives are they interested in? And then they get into the characteristics that are harder to assess. What is their risk tolerance? Could you stay in a tent with them for 3 weeks? I could spend quite a while talking about each of these, but I want to focus this video on another characteristic that heavily influences a good or bad partnership, and that is why someone climbs. I've had the why do you climb conversation a lot, but not often within the context of team dynamics. Anyone who has climbed for a while is familiar with one or all of these spheres of dialogue where the conversation more typically creeps up. We might hear it in the media, as some reporter asks some climber why they feel compelled to risk injury or death. We may have had the conversation ourselves, trying to explain to family or loved ones why we are willing to head out into the exposure of the outdoors and the vertical. And we may have had the conversation with our climbing peers, maybe casually over a beer or on an approach to some objective. But where I haven't heard the conversation happen a lot is in an earnest attempt to assess whether two or more people will gel as a climbing team. And look, I get it. First, someone has to have the time. And if you are traveling, also the money. Then they need to check all the boxes we just mentioned. And if you can get all of that and they are committed to going up with you, isn't it an awful lot to ask if you expect them to commit for the same reason as you? Well, in my opinion, yes and no. Yes, I shouldn't expect someone to climb for the exact same reasons I do, but also no. I don't think it goes too far to expect that you and a teammate have at least similar motivations. In fact, I think it's pretty important.
All right, here we go. There we go.
I could point to how much more likely you are to get along and have things to talk about while stuck in a tent, on a long expedition, or just on an approach. I could point out how you would be more likely to spend time in complementary ways. It can be frustrating for both if someone is stopping every 200 yards to take pictures and you just want to get to the top. I think both of those are true, but the biggest reason I think similar motivations for climbing matter is a very practical one. Different motivations will drive different decisions. For example, I am highly motivated by exploration. I like seeking out obscure peaks and obscure lines. Of course, they also have to be close enough to my abilities that learning and effort can make them at least possible. If I were climbing with a peak bagger, it brings up the potential of tension if a more standard route would improve the odds of reaching the top. As I mentioned, I also am motivated by growth. I seek out challenges that are certainly not guaranteed success. Add in that my risk profile is that of a parent who has to get home safely, and I am willing to turn around a lot. That could be very different than someone who, let's say, only gets to climb occasionally and so really values achieving a summit given the limited opportunities. You can see that there is more to this than just what makes a good day of climbing for you.
Look at that.
It's the next level question. Why is that how you define a good day? Looking back at the years I've climbed, it's the partners with shared motivations that have proven to be the ones I turn to again and again. They are the ones that have helped me experience those very good days. Think about your favorite partners for outdoor adventures. What qualities make them your favorites? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. Or you can take a look at last week's video on the risk of biased feedback that we typically get in the outdoors, or check out the entire Mental Health Awareness Month series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.